Hi, I'm Debbie Ridpath-Oe, children's book author and illustrator, and you had fantastic questions, so I'm going to try to answer as many of them as I can. One question was, how do I make my pictures? A lot of the drawings I do in picture books, I do on my Wacom art pad, and here's a pen, but there's no ink in the pen. I actually draw on this, and pictures appear on the screen. With my new book, Gerpel and Preen, though, which is written by Linda Sue Park, illustrated by me, I actually did use some real crayons in some of the illustrations. What do I like to do for fun? I like to make music. How many books have I written? 2. Sam and Eve. Oops. Where are my books? Sam and Eva. I've also illustrated quite a few, and I have written some short stories that I've illustrated as well. What was my favorite book to illustrate and why? I would have to say my first book, which was I'm Bored, because I had a potato and I love talking potatoes and it was so fun to draw. Did I learn to draw in school? No, actually. I took computers. I was a computer programmer. That was my first job. I have always loved to draw. That was one of my first drawings. Crayon. I've always loved to write. This is one of my first chapter books. I just drew a lot and wrote a lot, and I tried not to be afraid of making mistakes. Where do I get my ideas? Everywhere, and I keep a notebook to write down ideas, but the thing that helps me the most is reading. I read all the time, all kinds of books, and I'm constantly getting inspiration for books I love. Which book did I make first? It was I'm Bored, was my first children's book. My first book that I wrote and illustrated was Where Are My Books? But I've also done one book that was for grown-ups as well, called The Writer's Online Marketplace. Not very interesting, sorry. How long does it take to make a book? It can take anywhere from maybe 4 or 5 months if I work really, really, really hard to several years. It all depends because there's a lot of waiting and that takes a lot of patience. Where do I like to go on vacation? Good question. These are great questions. I like to go somewhere where there's water, either near a lake or an ocean. How about you? What's my favorite food and drink? Well, my favorite food for a meal, I think, is Japanese food. My background's Japanese, but I've always loved Japanese food, especially sushi. My favorite dessert, I think, would be cupcakes. I love cakes, one of my favorite foods, and I like miniature food, so cupcakes is perfect. My favorite drink, I thought hard about this, probably just water with ice. I know it's so boring, I'm sorry. Would I rather draw with a marker or a crayon? Crayons, definitely crayons. How did I make the potato talk? This is my potato puppet. Just use my imagination. And it was a challenge, though, because how often do you see a talking potato? How long have I been drawing? All my life. I used to draw crayons on everything, including things I probably shouldn't have drawn on, like the wall. I don't recommend that at all. I got in trouble. How did I decide to become an author illustrator? Mainly because I have always loved to read. I love reading so much, and so I started writing a lot and drawing a lot, and I really, really just wanted to practice and see my books on the bookshelves someday. So every one of you can be a children's book author and illustrator. You just need to read a lot and practice writing and drawing a lot. Can you speak Japanese? Oh, just a little bit, not that great. Oh, see, my mind's gone blank. I'll try to think of a Japanese word. Oh, the word for friend is tomo. And on my website, I have an exercise sheet on how to write tomo in Japanese characters. But no, I'm not fluent in Japanese, I'm sorry. What's my favorite book? That's such a hard question, but here's one of my favorites, Charlotte's Web. Oh, just love that so much. I've answered all your questions, so here's an extra one. If I had to give one piece of advice for young writers and illustrators, it would be this. Read. I cannot emphasize this much. Read everything. If you don't like something, think about why you didn't like it. If you love something, think about what you loved about it, but just read everything. The more you read, the more you will improve in your writing and illustrating. I can't wait to see some of your books, and thank you for your excellent questions. Thanks. Bye-bye.